iPhone, and Windows Phone 7. Okay, and BlackBerry or anybody? Okay, and that's kind of what I was expecting. New to phone development. Sweet. All right. Cool. So we got a lot of new faces to the genre, as it were. What I wanted to do in this talk, and I'm just going to go over what we're going to do as far as looking at code snippets. So we're going to look at the platform, what it takes to get everything set up, and then we're going to move on to the important API demos. These are things that Google have on their website that'll be worthy of you looking at so that you can kind of get started with the first app. And if people have seen my talks before, I say with Android, it's only $25 to start actually publishing apps, and then you can do it on your own and start creating, and start making ad revenue off of it. And so you could potentially just start, making money on your own for $25. They have no approval process, so you can release whatever you want, whenever you want. It's unlike Windows Phone or iPhone. So you could start something today, put it out on the market tomorrow, start a business today off of it, if you like. Okay, so I put this slide here because I do want to issue some warnings about Android in the sense that people that come from the Windows Phone world and XAML and .NET, they have a lot of stuff taken care of for them, data binding. The designers are fast, things like that. Android's still getting this stuff worked out, and a lot of stuff doesn't come for free. And so I just want to go through a list of things that I've run into a couple of times that you might find a little odd, and I did as well. So we all know that Android's kind of the biggest phone out there as far as the number of users, and part of the reason for that is it's hardware agnostic. And with that, you get a lot of phones and a lot of fragmentation. And so you'll see things like what I've experienced with the augmented reality apps that I've done is that cameras on phones don't feed the data to the API the same way from phone to phone. And so you'll see things like this. You'll see fragmentation. I've had to deal with errors on phones that aren't even made in this country. So that's like something to be aware of when you're dealing with this. It might be a good idea to release to your phone only type of thing, and you can do that. And so they do have supported phones and supported things like that. So you may want to plan betas for those phones if you wanted to. Of course, like I said, there's no approval process, so I was able to release something and immediately get feedback from that and change what I was doing. And so also their development environments are fragmented in a similar way, in the sense that they provide a lot of these command line tools to work with the applications, and then they provide this Eclipse plugin, and then you can make it work with Eclipse. There are things that will work in Eclipse, but as soon as you try and do a deployment build with Ant, you'll see like some craziness start happening. And so I'll give you advice on not having that happen. One good example is Eclipse when you set up dependencies to other projects in Eclipse, or to jar files, for example, DLLs. You'll see that the Eclipse will work no matter where you put it, but Ant will want it in the libs folder unless you specify the destination that you're going to want to see. Finally, there are little Easter eggs. And I say this in the kindest of ways, but if you have a list of images that you want to display to your user, and the first two images in alphabetical order are a subset of one image to the next, of the name, for example, a.png and aa.png, a.png will not show in your app. So there is some weird things like this, and I catch things from time to time that are like this, and so if things aren't working as you expect, immediately go to Google and just like start looking online, because you'll find some weird stuff. I've encountered this problem twice because I had forgotten about it and then thought to myself, that's so silly, that'll never happen again, and then it came up again. So, but it's just the first two images. I think I had something like game background and then game background something else, and then game background wasn't actually rendering because it wasn't actually being served to the application. Silly stuff, and I don't see this in other phone platforms, so it's just, keep it in mind and, tell your friends about it. So beyond that, what I would like to do is create an application with you guys, look at the main components of an application, mainly the manifest, layouts, kind of the XML files that have to be done, and then that happy file format that Ant will work with and Eclipse will work with together. And then we'll look at creating a list view kind of thing. And so depending on how much time we have, I can also break into some of the other code samples that I have. But all this application will be doing is going out and getting a JSON feed and then loading images and a set of data onto a list view, kind of as a menu. So we'll do that fairly quickly. Finally, stuff like that I found was cool while putting this demo together. There's a lazy loading image loader, and I'll show why that's important, because you will see that as you're scrolling through list views, it will an adapter hooked up to the internet will attempt to download things as you're scrolling, and then that'll slow you down. So just specific to this demo, you'll see things like that. So beyond that, we can just go to kind of the things that we're going to be doing. So has anybody played World of Warcraft in here? No? Okay. Heard of it?
Yes, on South Park.
Yeah, on South Park. There you go. Okay, so this is a website I created for creating macros in that game. They have like this small pseudo programming language in World of Warcraft to automate your character to a certain extent. And so what I did was they don't have any form of autocomplete in there, and so the whole point of this application is so that you can get autocomplete for like different things that you can do in their little language. Now, what I have here is a bunch of data that users have put together, and I'm using jQuery to load it in a JSON template. And jQuery with JSON to load it into a jQuery template. And so I have this available web service that I want to hit. There are a lot of these out there. You can get geocoding from the Google Maps and different things like that. You can get lists of locations, etc. So what I want to do is show how you can get a JSON feed into your application and display that, and hopefully run through it fairly quickly. So we'll get something that looks like this in our development environment. Finally, like these are, I just wanted to show some of these as far as games go. We did cow pooping on a unicorn, pretty much, and it's had 10,000, between 10,000 and 50,000 downloads, about like 40-something thousand downloads. And what's important about this is that Google has shown me a lot of things about the way the system works while releasing this. I did a lot of like initial releases, and so the more often you release, the more they kind of rank you up as far as searchability. So in this particular case, you're able to, if you release about once a week, more than once a week is a little too much because they'll start downranking you based on that stuff. But you get to this point where you get like once a week, and then your visibility on there starts going up, and you'll start seeing more stuff. And then when your content is changing in here, it's similar to a Google search where they search for changes in content and things like that. So you kind of look at the descriptions in here, and it'll allow people to search for your apps based on this information. So be really descriptive. Use a lot of like synonyms and stuff. That's like some ground advice that I can give you on releasing apps there. So we can go over to the SDK portion. And as I said, I was going to go over preparing for this. So you can go to developer.android.com, and basically you can just get started here. It's all free, you get everything up and running, and then as soon as you want to publish your app, $25, it's really easy.